computerized. From the Magic City, the sun and fun capital of the world, Miami, Florida, through the incredible speed of the NCR 315 computer, Warner Productions proudly presents the all-time heavyweight championship tournament.
Hello, everybody. This is Murray Warner at Miami Convention Hall for the last fight in the first round of the all-time heavyweight boxing tournament. Tonight's match pitches two more of the greatest heavyweight champions ever. In 15 rounds or less, Cassius Clay, the Louisville Lip, Muhammad Ali, is computer matched against Max Schmeling of Hamburg, Germany. The all-time heavyweight championship is made possible through the cooperation of the City of Miami, Ring Magazine, Chris and Angelo Dundee, and Hank Kaplan, ex-president of the World Boxing Historians Association. We'll be back in a minute with Guy LeBeau and the pre-fight commentary on tonight's fight. Back once again at Miami Convention Hall, and here's Guy LeBeau.
Thank you very much, Murray Warner, and ladies and gentlemen, hello. The first round of the all-time heavyweight tournament has certainly produced some controversial fights and lots of surprises. Tonight's fighters are two of the most controversial heavyweights who ever put on gloves.
Cassius Clay may be the fastest heavyweight of all time, and he's surely as well-conditioned as any fighter in this tournament. He's unbeaten in 29 fights with 24 knockouts and a striking figure of an athlete at 6'3", 211 pounds. But, and this is the question almost everybody asks, can Muhammad Ali take a punch?
Well, maybe we can answer that in a few moments, Murray. One thing we do know about Max Schmeling, he can deliver a punch. One of the greatest upsets in boxing history, Schmeling knocked out Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber. That was 1936. And he's the only man ever to knock Louis out in his prime.
Schmeling really had a knockout punch. In 71 fights, he had his opponent on the floor 53 times. Max is an outstanding counterpuncher, and he can really hit with the right hand to the head, and with his left hook, too. He fights stand-up, but can go in a crouch. And a fighter needs all the styles there are to stay with Clay.
Right about that. Schmeling hit his peak at age 24, when he was 6 feet 1 inch tall. He weighed 188. He has a 76-inch reach, and that's 8 inches less than Clay's. He is especially vulnerable to the left hand. He hooks and jabs. Now, Clay has a good jab, Murray, remember, and his speed lets him get it in.
Yeah, but can he take a punch? I asked Clay about it, and he doesn't sound like he ever expected to have to take a punch.
I saw Louis beat Max Schmeling, one of his greatest fights. Schmeling was big and slow and awkward and fat and out of shape, and he just stood there flat-footed and let Louis punch him. When he got up, he didn't move, he didn't run, he just stood there and let Louis punch him. You can't compare these fellows with me. You just might as well face it. None of these fellows could touch me in the ring.
Well, that's one man's opinion anyway, right, Murray?
Even Angelo Dundee, who worked Clay's corner as Muhammad Ali's trainer and manager, seemed a little concerned about Schmeling's punch. We asked him about the German.
Max Schmeling was a good, cute fighter. He would give you the bob and the weave and look to lead you into a right-hand shot. He must have been a tremendous puncher. He was a very good feiner. He made good moves. He made moves where he made you, trapped you.
Any fighter who could sucker a man as good as Louis could into a right hand would certainly give Clay trouble. But what does Angelo think about Clay?
I think he will go down in history as the greatest heavyweight of all time, barring nobody. I think he would have beat every heavyweight, without a doubt in my mind. He could do everything and do it well. He could have boxed you. He could have outfought you. He could have surrounded you. He could have chased you if he wanted to. Now, the first match you have him in with will be a test of his ability. He's fighting a fella that could very well give him one of his toughest fights, that style. Excellent match. I look forward to him stopping Max Schmeling.
Jack Kearns, Jr. had some very interesting observations about Cassius Clay.
He's a mystery. 1 minute he'll look like the greatest fighter that ever was, and the next minute he looks like a scared rabbit. I think this would be Clay's only problem, is, to me, he's a very scary fighter. When the bell starts, he's scared to death.
We asked Kern about this Clay Schmeling fight.
Clay outboxing him. I think Clay would be on the floor. With most of these fighters, I think Clay would be on the floor, and it would be up to Clay. I think Clay would move too much for Schmeling. I think he'd outbox Schmeling.
Joe Louis had some interesting thoughts about Clay, too, and we'll hear those in just 1 minute. Back again at Miami Convention Hall for the computerized fight between heavyweight champions Cassius Clay and Max Schmeling. I asked Joe Louis what he thought of the match.
Well, I would have to pick Schmeling, because I think that he would venture catch Clay, because Clay keeps his hand out an awful lot, gets somewhat tangled up into the ropes, and so I would have to pick Schmeling.
Rocky Marciano, another great modern heavyweight, and like Clay, undefeated, didn't agree with Lewis on this.
I think that Schmeling has got something going for him here. He's got that stiff right-hand punch. The present champion couldn't make any mistakes with a Schmeling. But I think with a little bit more time to go, it will prove perhaps, at least I'm guessing, that the present champion perhaps could have beat Max Schmeling because of Schmeling being slow and methodical.
Hank Kaplan, the former president of the World Boxing Historians Association, had some thoughts on Clay, too.
Cassius Clay is you might say, a revolution in boxing. He introduced a type of speed which we have never known before. But not only that, he has relied on this speed as a defensive weapon. Cassius Clay evolved from an Olympic champion to the heavyweight championship. Did this, in my opinion, mainly because of the poor heavyweight opposition in his era. Twice in his career, he has been decked by what I believe to be ordinary fighters. He hasn't been put to the supreme test yet as far as taking a punch is concerned.
Everybody seems to have definite feelings on Clay. Take Jack Sharkey.
Well, Clay is in there for a long time, and as I say, that he'll die of old age unless someone drops a bag of cement in his head as he's walking down the street, and he's a good fighter. Don't make any mistakes about it. You take a young fella that's gone through the mill, fought all of these so-called great guys he's heard so much about, and with a guy with a chip on his shoulder, and he's 21, 22, 23 years old, it's going to be a hard man to beat.
How do you think Schmeling would have done with Clay?
I think Clay would have beat him easily.
Then I asked Jim Braddock.
Well, I think Clay was a little too fast. You see, he's the type of fellow, he's so fast. For a heavyweight, his speed is phenomenal. Nobody's ever been that fast as a heavyweight. And he more or less tires the fella out just chasing him, because the other fella's tensed at all times looking to punch him. And he's not punching, but he's tense and he's tiring himself out. And by the time 3 or 4 rounds comes around, he's ready to be taken, and then the guy starts to punch.
Guy, don't you think it's particularly interesting that the one factor that everyone talks about is Clay's speed, but so many of them question his ability to take that good right-hand punch?
And it's only when you put him in the ring with the hitters of real power, or boxers of the great skills that we have in the all-time heavyweight tournament, that you do get the chance to determine just what that story really is.
And the NCR 315 is going to be telling us about that in just a few minutes. Guy, since this is the final fight in the first round of the tournament, I think this is a good time to tell everyone for the last time about our all-time heavyweight tournament contest. Next Sunday night at midnight is the deadline, but there's still time to enter our all-time heavyweight tournament contest. Entry forms are available in most cities where this series is being carried from local advertisers and through your station. Enter as often as you like. All you need to do is pick the winners of all 15 fights in the tournament and tell us how they won the fights. Re-enter if you make a mistake on a given fight in the first 8 fights. There's nothing to buy, and the grand prize is a magnificent 26-foot Seabird sedan cruiser, completely equipped, the world's largest trailerable boat. From Seabird Industries of Hialeah, Florida, this dream boat comes equipped with full flotation, a 200-horsepower OMC engine, galley, head, bunks, and many other choice accessories, and is valued at $12,000. Earliest postmark counts, and you can win the boat, a week for 2 at the Algiers Hotel on Miami Beach, a Johnson diving buoy, or one of 10 gold commemorative rings being custom made for this tournament by Regal Crest Jewelry of Miami, the same people who are making our $10,000 gold and diamond championship belt. Contest closes midnight, November 5th. That's next Sunday night. Enter often. Earliest postmark counts. In the event of ties, a runoff contest will be held. Contest void where prohibited by law. Remember the deadline, Sunday night, midnight.
Say, Murray, I've been speaking to Max Schmeling, and I asked him how he'd like to fight Clay.
Well, I'd like to fight him. I saw him, I studied him very good, but
it's a little too late to study him. 20 years ago would be much better. But I think I had a good chance because I was a good counter puncher and I had a pretty good right hand. And if he would stand in front of me like he was standing in front of Terrell, you remember maybe the picture, I would let him go.
You think you would catch up with him and put him away?
Oh, Cassius Clay? Well, you know, it's easy to say yes or no, you know. But I think I had a good chance, yes.
And we'll be back in just 1 minute.
Hello again, everybody. Guy LeBeau here, and looking around this Miami Convention Hall. Now, the big question has to be, is it possible for our NCR 315 computer to come up with similar seats? I doubt that. Because, once again, it is a capacity crowd. And why not? When just a few moments from now, Mike Schmeling tangles with Cassius Clay. And just briefly, let's recap their vital statistics. Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, if you will, comes into the ring 22 years old. A fine figure of a guy, 6 feet 3 inches tall. Weighing 211 pounds, his best punch, a right hand to the head. And he has a lightning-fast left jab which he hits on the fly. He is hit most easily by a left to the body. Many fight authorities believe he has the fastest hands and feet of any fighter in the heavyweight division in history. He has never been defeated, racking up the enviable record of 29 wins in 29 times of bat. Clay's opponent, the Black Ulan, Max Schmeling, comes into the ring tonight at the age of 24, and our NCR 315 computer digests the following about him. His best punch, a slamming right to the head. His second best, a left hook. He has been hit most easily by left and right combinations to the head. He's a stand-up fighter, but he can shift into the crouch. His record, a total of 71 fights. He won 39 by knockouts, 14 by decision, 3 via the foul route. He lost 5 by knockouts, 5 via the decision route.
The fighters are coming into the ring now. Schmeling sitting on the stool in his corner, while Muhammad Ali, with a white robe with red lettering, dances in the corner. Clay's robe is very short, a mini robe, I guess you'd call it. Clay's been established as a 2-to-1 favorite by our Las Vegas odds makers. And those are big odds against competition like this. 7 of the 11 voters on our panel of experts also picked Clay, with 1 abstaining. But Schmeling is an underdog fighter. He was an 8-to-1 underdog the night he beat Lewis, remember? Nat Fleischer, the publisher of Ring Magazine, was one of the experts who liked Schmeling. He said,
he would probably have knocked out Clay before the end of the 15th round.
But Joe Walcott was equally positive Clay would win.
This would be a terrific fight. I think Clay is the greatest heavyweight champion we've ever had. I think he boxes as well as any champion we've had, and I think he knows what he's doing while he's in that ring. However, you must admit that Schmeling was a terrific puncher, and he too knew what he was doing at all times in that ring, and a good boxer. I would be inclined to think that I think the present champ would win a decision.
We'll break in here for a moment, Barry. Here comes our ring announcer moving right up to the microphone. So let's move upstairs to ring announcer Paul Berman, and we're ready for introduction. center ring for their instructions with referee Ruby Goldstein. We'll be back in just 1 minute with round one of this computerized fight.
Angelo Dundee yelling just two words at Clay, that being stick 'em. Schmeling scowling toward Clay's corner. Here's the bell and here's Guy.
Thank you very much, Murray Warner. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Schmeling and Clay at the center of the ring. Clay, an amazingly smooth-looking athlete who could be today's basketball star on any college team. Schmeling with bent peak is pug-looking and resembles Jack Dempsey. Schmeling takes off first, takes short steps as Clay begins his dance. Clay jabs at Schmeling, landing two left jabs at the nose. Schmeling counters, throwing the short right. It misses Clay. Clay moves to his left. Schmeling hooks lightly to the head, and Muhammad Ali does not return the compliment. Cassius moving very, very swiftly, faster than I can recount. Now he hooks a hard left to the head in blinding speed, catching Schmeling unawares, and Schmeling holds up to see what's coming next. Schmeling can move fairly quickly, too, but he doesn't look to be moving fast. He's not on his toes. Now Max is, and he dances up and down. Clay feints the left hand, throws a right at the body. Schmeling blocks Clay, holds the big left hand in hooking position, but does not throw. He is testing the counters of Schmeling, who is fine at the art. Clay moves sharply to the right, hooks a left and right to the head. Beautiful, flashy offense by Muhammad Ali. Schmeling with a light right to the body, and Clay ties him up. Clay has scored well to the head in what's gone in this, the first round. Now back at ring center, Schmeling feints a left hand. Clay dances away. Schmeling has the good right hand to the head as his big blow. Schmeling hooks a hot left to the head. Clay misses a retaliating left to the head. Schmeling with face covered moves quickly in, hooks left and right to the body. Clay a short left to the head. Clay with two more light hooks to the head as Schmeling forces Clay to the ropes, pounds the body with a right. In a clinch again. And I think the audience is warming up to what looks like a fine fight. Both Schmeling and Clay have been well scouted. No surprises thus far, except I've seen that Schmeling will follow the left feint with the hook, and it surprised Clay and some of us here. At ring center, the referee for this fight, Ruby Goldstein, the jewel of the ghetto, and for all of the dream fights in this all-time heavyweight tournament. Again, I remind you that Clay is very fast with the jab, fast with the hook, and Schmeling is deadly with the right hand. Back at ring center, as the clinch is broken up, Clay jabs the eye of Schmeling, jabs her again, puts a jab to the teeth, menaces the right, doesn't throw it, now crosses the right, getting Schmeling off timing and off target, and the plagued Schmeling takes a retreating step, and now, more covered against the jab, plods in again. Here's Clay bouncing a left jab off the head, another jab off the head by Cassius Clay, another at the cheek. He feints, he scoots to his left, and Schmeling scores beautifully with a right to the head. Clay is stopped for the moment, and Schmeling gets in a good right cross to the head. Both men punching, and they exchange good hooks to the head, with Clay moving in and out, and now Clay again at long range, going back with a jabbing, stabbing left hand, but Schmeling rushed him beautifully at the bell.
A lightning-fast Muhammad Ali took just one solid shot and several grazes while peppering Schmeling in fairly even round one. There's the bell, and round two coming up.
Right, and remember this, Maury. Clay has a reach 6 inches longer than Schmeling's, and how important that looms to prevent the well-known Schmeling counter over the left. Schmeling and Clay out at the center of the ring. Max Schmeling tagged again with the left jab. Clay buzzes around him as fast as you can think, faster than perhaps you can think. Schmeling holds back, and now shaking his head, walking steps forward, then sideward towards Clay. He's in the semi-crouch, Schmeling is, hands in peekaboo style, very much like Floyd Patterson in front. Clay stabs the head again, has his right hook blocked by Schmeling. Clay is on the move, continuing on the move, hustles off as Schmeling stumbles after him, trying the right counter and doesn't make it. Now Clay takes a breath, comes forward again, taunting Schmeling with the left hand. He wants to get Schmeling to send the right hand to the jaw so he can counter, but Schmeling covers up, and that's about all. Clay moving suddenly to the right, hops to the body, and Schmeling lands a soft right to the head. Clay backs off again, Schmeling this time going to the jab, jabs them out with the left hand. Clay just stands flat-footed, bobbing his head toward the right. Schmeling closes into clinch after trying two jabs, which just didn't get to the chin, although Clay was standing dead in his tracks. I've got to tell you that every bit of action here has used up every part of this big ring at Miami Convention Hall. Cassius Clay really is chalking up a speed record with Max Schmeling running a poor second. Now referee Goldstein has the men separated. Schmeling has his hands in front of his face, which is buried as deeply as was Sonny Liston's. But Clay hooks hard at the head and lands. He jabs, but his jab is parried. Schmeling lands a good left hook to the head. Clay jabs the face. They exchange left jabs. Clay fakes a long right at the body, and Schmeling drives a gorgeous right to the ear. Clay is straightened up, but immediately comes back to life with his own good right to the head, and Schmeling races for inside after being stung, and stung hard. Clay lets himself be pushed to the ropes. Schmeling is buried inside the taller man with arms churning at the head. Clay swings him around and suddenly is behind Schmeling, and the crowd roars. How did the old pro allow the humiliation? This will make for second guessing for many nights to come. Clay pounds left and right to the head. Max drives a right to the body of Clay, and they finally tie each other up in Clay's corner. Angelo Dundee saying something. The other workers in that corner saying, let's get them. Ruby Goldstein has them now and tows them quickly back to the center of the ring. And on the green light again, Clay again opening the jab arsenal. He sends 2 jabs to the face, moves. Sends a light jab to the face, he moves again. Sends 2 jabs to the face of Schmeling. Max fires the right counter, boom, on target, and it causes Clay to suddenly become serious-faced. He hooks a left to the head, takes a short right in close, and they clinch again. Ruby Goldstein comes in, and there's the bell.
Clay racked up points in round 2, stinging Schmeling while pretty well avoiding punishment himself. He's covering ground, moving just as he said he would. The bell and Guy LeBeau.
Thank you, Murray. Max Schmeling is the only heavyweight to win the championship sitting on the floor, claiming a foul against Jack Sharkey. Getting underway, Clay again setting the pattern. He steps in and out swiftly, pops a left in the mouth of Schmeling, one more left to the nose of Max. His speed is dazzling. Schmeling's face is now covered again, and Clay misses a short right. But Schmeling comes forward, pressing Clay nevertheless. Clay hooks at the face, being guarded well by Schmeling's right hand. Remember, Schmeling is well known for being ineffective with a guard at that side. And again, Clay is testing all of the bastions he wishes to find out for himself. He has landed most lefts. Clay walks right, stops, walks left in the Jersey Joe Walcott shift. Max springs at Clay. Clay can't get out of the way. Schmeling scores with a left hook to the head and a hard right cross to the face and ends the attack just as swiftly, going into a deep shell as Clay dances back after stabbing him twice on the nose. Clay now with both hands down in another one of his traditional maneuvers, taunting Schmeling, putting his chin out at him. Schmeling, unmoved by the display, just stands his ground. Clay moves in. His left is blocked. And again, Schmeling throws a nice right to the jaw. That tags Clay, not too hard. Clay fighting back, though, whips left and right to the head, the left to Sizzler. Schmeling brings up a right to the jaw, in close. Not that powerful. Clay blocks the next one, punishes Max's head with a left, another left, another short left to the head. Schmeling moves in at close quarters, lands the uppercut once more. Clay retreats to jab and soars off to the left, and the crowd loves the action. Not much power, but the speed is terrifying. And Schmeling follows, throwing a left to the head. Clay blocks by throwing the blocking hand in Schmeling's face with a palm upright, just like Jack Johnson did. Clay puts a light right to the body, Schmeling moving in, rips right to the head, and Clay lands 1 and 2, left and right, and another combination to the head, but not too hard. And now they are in a solid clinch. Schmeling has forced the fight some of this round, landed the good right counter twice, but Clay has hardly even noticed Schmeling's body. He's been concentrating up ahead. Now as they break, Clay jabs the left to the mouth. They exchange jabs. Clay stands still a moment and arches back in the old fighter's style and makes Schmeling miss a left to the face. Clay plants 2 jabs on the kisser. There goes another left jab to the mouth, and at this rate, Schmeling could begin to get jab weary and slightly anxious with these darts stinging him on his head and in his face all night. Here's a clinch right overhead, and referee Ruby Goldstein speeds to the scene, but he cannot get them separated. Okay, here they are, out back at the center of the ring once more. Clay pushes Schmeling away, and with a small curl around the lips, wings a left to the head. Schmeling advancing, but undercover, deeply covered in the belt.
Schmeling just can't catch Clay enough to really get to him. He landed a couple of good shots in round 3, but Clay simply outlanded him at about a 2-1 rate. Here's Guy.
Right. Schmeling has had a couple of bad rounds. He does make comebacks. He KO'd Joe Louis after he was regarded as washed up. They're sparring out front. Clay's best punch, remember, the right to the head. The left jab is his next best offering. Clay speeds 2 jabs to Schmeling's head. Max misses the right counter over the left. That's his best throw. Clay misses his right over the head of Schmeling. Tries to back away. Schmeling ties him up immediately. Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali is undefeated. He has won 24 by KO out of 29, a great record. And across the ring, Schmeling lowers his guns now, hooks a good left to the body, but Clay dances away. Clay comes back with a right to the face, but gets only half the target. Schmeling covering nicely. Schmeling working in close. They exchange whacks around the head. Clay with a confident stare out to the audience as I see his head bob up out of the close quarter, fighting across the ring, and again they are tied tightly. Here's referee Ruby Goldstein to break them up. Clay steps back smartly, feints right, throws 2 quick jabs at Schmeling. Schmeling does nothing but vainly try to pick them off. Clay moving again, now in the center of the ring. His legs astride apart. He waves his left hand in Schmeling's face, and Schmeling, after missing left and right of that bobbing head, throws at the body twice and lands a hard right, but Clay stabs the face brutally with the left jab. Out at the neutral corner to my right, Clay is stepping off to the right. While jabbing, he lands, jabs, and moves to the left. But Schmeling is ready, and there's a hard right to Clay's mouth, and a left hook to the body by Schmeling as Clay moves to the clinch. Boy, that Schmeling's right counter was a blaster. He'll probably feel it was too sad. He couldn't sustain that very good rally, if not his best. Now Goldstein takes them out to the center of the ring. Here's Clay moving off now, jabbing again with the left, moving to his right, hooking the right at the head. Schmeling again, blasting the head with the right. Clay jabs at Schmeling, and Schmeling scores with a hard counter right to the head once more. Max has suddenly come back to the fight. One-handed, it's true, but that right is a bruising instrument. Away from his target now, Clay feints the left, cocks the hand, taunts Schmeling again, hooks the right to the head, but Schmeling slips it gracefully. The right races to Clay's head again, hard and home. Max is using the right as a potent weapon, both as the counter to the left and at any propitious moment when Clay throws at his face. Here's Clay again, jabbing lightly at the face. He dances off. Schmeling's blast to the head is blocked, but again he scores beautifully, and Schmeling on that effort continues right into Clay's big chest, and he ties him up tightly just over our microphone. Seconds only remaining in this round. Schmeling has had a great round, and it may have brought him back considerably in this fight. Ruby Goldstein takes them out to the center of the ring, and on the quick break, Clay surprisingly gets whacked with a left to the head. The bell.
Muhammad Ali was jarred clear down to his toes by those Schmeling right hands in round 4 and found that the Black Hewlin must be treated with respect. Here's Guy.
Okay, Murray, this is round 5. Cassius Clay and Max Schmeling. Clay, you know, is trained by Angelo Dundee, one of the most astute men in the business, who runs a tight and orderly camp. Clay now has reason to watch the Schmeling responses to anything he throws. It is not enough to watch the counters he is best known for. Schmeling has come out now with left in jab position, of all things. Clay has the left hand lingering casually in front. Right is at bodyguard post. Clay looks loose. Schmeling is on the move. He jabs the face and misses. My guess is Schmeling wants to make Clay try a right cross at his face, which would give him a chance for a right cross at Clay's face, which would be his most potent throw. Muhammad Ali, Clay, dancing up and down now, and exchanging jabs with Max Schmeling, the Black Hewlin from Germany, who is fighting out of a taller stance for the first time in this fight. 1 minute gone in round 5. Now out at the neutral corner to my right, Clay leads with a right, and Schmeling drives a straight right to the body, which lands. It is not hard. Clay hooks a left to the mouth in return. Schmeling now works in close. There is a left to the body and another left to the body, but partially smothered as Clay leans on him. He wants the clinch, and he strangles the action. Clay has been knocked down previously by Sonny Banks, Henry Cooper, and I think the European fighter Carl Mildenberger gave him a tough time, at least for a while. Here is the break by Ruby Goldstein. Clay blasts the head hard with the right hand, going that way, and Schmeling misses a 1-2. But a sudden break by Clay off the clinch, and Clay went sailing virtually across the ring and nearly out, I suppose. Max has to make nearly a 90% turn to come nose to nose with Cassius Clay. Cassius and Schmeling exchanging left jabs now. Clay out of nowhere rips left and right to the head. A cracking blast to the jaw with a right hand, and for a moment it looked like Cassius was playing catch with Schmeling's head. He is really suddenly opening up in spurts and catching Max off timing. Now Cassius pulls the attack once more. Max gets behind curtains to spar again out at ring center. 1 minute left to go in this fight, perhaps slightly less. Cassius Clay and Max Schmeling. Clay fighting in spurts now. Schmeling jabs the left. Clay counters with a hook to the head. Schmeling helps Clay's head hard. Schmeling comes in close. Clay misses the body with a right, but at comfortable range, Schmeling clubs the head hard with each hand. Clay looks a little bit messed at this point. He misses a right to the body, flies away, jabbing strongly to the nose. Here is a straight right to the head suddenly by Clay. He takes a light right to his head, swaps jabs to the face with Schmeling, and Schmeling falls into a tight clinch. Possibly Clay is the fastest heavyweight the ring has ever known. There's the bell.
Clay's speed of hand and foot paid off in the last round as he scored well again, landing a far greater number of effective punches. Neither man is marked at this point the bell and dial above.
Round 6, and my scorecard shows that Clay has struck about one good body blow during the entire fight. Max Schmeling and Cassius Clay. Schmeling moving out quickly. He pins a good left jab to the nose of Cassius Clay. Clay hooks a right to the head in counter. And Schmeling crosses his wicked right to Clay's face. And that is the Schmeling way. Draw the left. Blast the right, and Clay gives ground. Clay moves into the clinch, working both hands at the head of Schmeling, with Max pounding Clay inside. The fighting is rough out there. I can see lumps at Schmeling's eyebrows as Schmeling is right over the ropes. They've moved into the clinch tightly. Referee Ruby Goldstein moving to the side of the ring to break them up. Clay goes back on a scooter at the center of the ring. Clay shoots 2 quick jabs to the head. Again in taunt, practically, if not in spite. Now Clay hooks the head, and Max, starting the right counter, holds back. He played just that time with cleverness. Clay was trying to draw the right counter and would have laid his head open with the right he had set up. Man, those guys are cool. Now back out at the center of the ring, Schmeling jabs the left at the mouth and crosses a good, strong right to the jaw. Now they exchange left jabs again at the center of the ring. Clay misses the body with a right. They're in close again. Schmeling rakes the body with strong left and rights. Clay chops 2 rights to the mouth, hooks the head hard, and Schmeling grabs his hand to close out the flurry, and they are again knotted tightly. Schmeling has a reputation for being a disagreeable guy to his corner man and sort of ignoring them during a fight. Max Schmeling and Cassius Clay broken up by Ruby Goldstein again out at ring center. Clay has not met as good an all-round man as Schmeling at any time in his career. Max is a good in-fighter, has a fine right, a fair to middling left jab. He also is a fair student of boxing. Less than a minute left to go in here, round 6. Schmeling, left hand lightly to Clay's body. Clay turns southpaw again, switches again when Max stands still and refuses to follow. Clay now has the high left in front of him, swinging it like a pendulum with the right hand lowered. Schmeling tries a right at the head. Clay hooks. Schmeling jabs the nose. Clay gets the audience on his feet with lightning. Here are 2 left jabs to the face by Clay. A left jab, a right crossing hard by Clay. Schmeling, meantime, concentrating on the body. There is a good shot with the left, another with the right. Clay flashes left and right to the head. Schmeling can be made to bleed as he has in other important fights, and Clay would like to take him any way he can get him. Here's a clinch right over our microphone, seconds remaining. Both men look fit. Schmeling with deep-set eyes, though, is, I think, a little bit cut at the brow. Not cut, but lumpy there at least on the break. Schmeling takes a jab to the face, 2 more jabs. There's the bell.
If anyone tells you Clay can't hit, don't you believe it. He flat belted Schmeling in round 6, and the German's face is showing the marks. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
Round 7, and out at the center of the ring quickly, a quick exchange of jabs. Schmeling blocks the left at the body, brings up an uppercut against Clay. and they move into a clinch. Clay, by the way, has not sought the body too often for the past several rounds. He is head punching. Maybe wants to deck Schmeling across the face, which he protects very well. Muhammad Ali, with pride, I think often fierce pride, battles himself in the ring. Clay now at the center of the ring, rips a hard right in Schmeling's midsection, access to fall back a step. Clay follows the advantage, but misses a shot to the body, and Schmeling in turn hooks hard to the head as Clay comes into his neighborhood now. Clay and Schmeling flurry with good effect across the ropes. Clay takes an uppercut jammed into the chin from Schmeling. Clay dances off, and Schmeling catches him again with a fence down. Schmeling melts him with a right to the mouth, but takes a wicked left to the head from Clay. Clay trying to score again, but it's Schmeling scoring. Schmeling ripping head and face with right and left. There's another right to Clay's jaw, and Clay is down. Clay is down. More of a wilt than a fall. We'll pick up the count for you. He'll be all right. He's at 1 knee. We're at 7. We're at 8. He is okay. He is up with Angelo Dundee shouting fiercely at him. Referee Ruby Goldstein flies over to the scene to clean off the gloves of the fallen Cassius Clay, and Schmeling cannot be contained on the break. He flies again at Clay, but Clay is fighting back. Here he is rapping the body hard, but he is on the ropes, and Schmeling is trying to get the head into range. Clay's big hands and arms are blocking everything. He still is on the ropes, but now he fights back and rips the body with a right, and Schmeling has to go to the clinch. He may have lost his man after all. Referee Ruby Goldstein again speeds to the scene and breaks them up, carefully wiping the gloves again of both men this time. Clay at the center of the ring, jabs a left to the head, and has his dancing shoes laced once again. But now Schmeling and Clay are standing for the second time, toe-to-toe, this time at ring center, and slugging hard to head and face with honors about even. Clay belts the body again. Schmeling misses a right to the head, and now there is indeed daylight between them. That really was something. Clay was down from powerful headshots by Schmeling's fine hand, but weathered the knockdown and was strong enough now to meet Schmeling nose to nose. They spar around in the center of the ring. Schmeling and Clay both flushed. It hasn't been a good 3 minutes for Clay at least. Clay walks left, then right, puts a left to the mouth, blocks the counter. Schmeling jabs a left lead to the head. Clay blocks his right and spins 2 fine jabs to face and mouth. Clay is moving again and fast again. He shows excellent condition, and no one better doubt that who manages to get into the ring with him. There's the bell.
Guy, we haven't mentioned that Max's eye was cut in that second exchange as Clay came back from that knockdown. His seconds have the bleeding stopped. The bell for round 8.
Right you are, and Max Schmeling, in case you just joined us, came within that much of scoring a major upset. Clay was down for a count of 9 from a rough and tumble burst at his head. Schmeling out fast. He hooks the left to the head. Clay returns a beauty of his own to the head, and the men immediately go to the clinch. Schmeling working on the body in close left and right. They try to separate, but after all, they need help from Ruby Goldstein, and he comes in to earn the salary. Schmeling, of course, upset Joe Louis with a terrific head punching. He claimed he had seen Louis drop his guard too low in another fight. Clay now puts a left jab to the face on the break, dances away speedily, is back again, feints to the right. He doesn't seem to have lost any of his speed in the knockdown. Schmeling nails a good right to the head, and Clay has to hold immediately. Goldstein goes in to break them up once more. Another good shot by Schmeling, and now Goldstein has them out at ring center. Schmeling now standing, jabbing, and feinting with the left, and he moves with Clay. Schmeling takes a step in, tries to work at close quarters, and Clay pins him from the elbow into the ropes. Now Clay staggers Schmeling with a right to the head. Schmeling groping at Clay with the left. Clay pounds home left and right to the face. Schmeling returns his own right hand to the head and bounces off the ropes and exchanges lefts with Clay. Schmeling was staggered with a battering right to the head. Clay again, walking right, swerves in, and Clay is pinned again with a solid right to the head. Schmeling desperately throws 2 short rights and lefts to the head. They are hard, they are accurate, and Clay wants the breather. Clay wants the breather. Clay, though, has seemingly recovered anyway from the battering he took to the head in the last round, and he appears stronger than Schmeling, despite the fact he called for the clinch. Schmeling on the break sends a light right to the body, pushes Clay off, sends a left hook and right cross to the head. It's Clay as Clay rocks back on his hips and pillows the shots. Clay has the left leg extended outward, the jutting shin toward Schmeling. He looks like Jack Johnson. Often says he patterned his style after him. Clay feints right, feints with left, hooks a good left to the head, and Schmeling returns a good right counter. Schmeling was staggered this round, but appears out of the fog and is flawless as he puts left and right to the head. But here goes Clay again after the Schmeling flurry. Here's Clay with a hard right to the head. Two left jabs to the mouth by Clay, a light right to the face by Clay, another left jab to the head, and all by Clay with a great burst of speed. But Max is going to weather the storm, and he shoves Clay's shoulders back with two hands, hooks a left to the head and a right to the body. But Clay is on the move. Schmeling goes in close and is tied up. Referee Goldstein breaks them up. Clay releases the chains just as Goldstein gets there. Funny it was, but you had to be there, as they say. Seconds remaining. Clay jabs the nose, jabs the mouth at the bell.
Both Clay and Schmeling were staggered in round 9, with Clay appearing a little but not much stronger. Both showing signs of wear, but Max considerably more battered, and there's the bell.
This battle has brought out a host of celebrities at ringside. There's Woody Allen, Myron Cohen, Alan Sherman, Dick Roman, singing star of the Gleason Show. Clay out moving fast at the center of the ring. Clay jabbing twice to the head without getting a return blow. Schmeling a bit more deliberate now, or tired, or both. Clay dancing to the left, snaps the left jab to the face of Max Schmeling, and Schmeling with the right counter, misses over the head. He's open, and here's Clay with lightning speed, and here's Clay belting him with a pretty straight right, as you will ever see. Schmeling has weakness at the knees, but Clay does not follow the advantage, and maybe Clay is tired as well. And instead, both go the clinch route. Clay and Schmeling in a tight puddle. Ruby Goldstein over here right before our microphone to separate them. And now Clay takes a light right to the body from Schmeling. Now he is on the move again. Now Clay jabs a left to the head, a left to the face, a left to the nose. It's jab, 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 and speed and stick. And Schmeling and Clay exchange left jabs, with Clay getting in the stronger ones. But according to Miami rules, you can't run and win. Schmeling hooks a left to the head. It's high, but he gets a piece of the target. Clay closes in with Schmeling, hits the head with a good right. Clay blocks a light to the head, and Schmeling's right hand does not have the punch this session. There's no doubt about that. Goldstein on the scene as Clay ties Schmeling tight, and they pause again at the neutral corner to my left. With the round half over, they move out to the center of the ring, and now back to the ropes once more as Clay pushes Schmeling in that direction, and Schmeling seemed to go willingly, or perhaps didn't have the strength to stop. Clay is brawling on the ropes with Schmeling and seemingly enjoying the infighting, although he has hardly laid a hand on Max's body for 4 rounds. Max, he feels, will go down the head route if he goes at all, and Clay apparently expected it some time back, for punishing the body is a long-range project. Out at the center of the ring once more, Clay jabs a left to the face, a left to the head, a left to the mouth by Clay. Schmeling lands a right to the body. Clay ties him up again, and definitely the Schmeling steam in the right counter has gone out. And if it's for this round only, fine. If it's not, he may be whistling Dixie in there for the balance of this fight. Now Schmeling jabs to the face. Clay, with hands making semicircles in front of Schmeling, is putting on the big main tent show right now. Here's his left jab to the mouth. He walks away from Max with hands down, and Max has slowed down the pace. Schmeling's face is battered. He has been bleeding. Clay exchanges 2 left jabs with Max, and Max rushes into the clinch just overhead. Clay's eyes are smiling and staring at the bell.
Clay's machine gun speed is really paying off. As time passes, he just flat landing punches it about a 2-to-1 ratio over the German ex-champ, and here's Guy.
Okay, Murray Warner, a worried Max Schmeling comes out to face Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay here in round 10 of this computerized battle. Clay has weathered the knockdown, the head battering, and Max has not the speed to cope with new gags being thrown at him every moment. At the center of the ring, Schmeling comes out to miss a jab, gets tagged with a left jab to the mouth, and runs into close quarters immediately, and there pops several rights to the ribs, not strongly, but Clay swings his man around again. The crowd loves this, and here he is, clipping Schmeling with a hard left on the jaw. Schmeling misses 2 jabs, another jab, as Clay rolls back on his right foot, and now he's standing a stride and a half from Schmeling. Now he moves in, legs apart. Schmeling starts a right, doesn't throw it as Clay leans backward again and cocks the left. Clay suddenly switching, rips a hard right to the body, but takes a good hook to the head from Schmeling's right. Clay to the infighting, and pressed against the German, he wraps 2 hard rights to the body again, and then ties Schmeling up. It's been a beautiful flurry here at the top of round 10. Clay finally remembered, apparently, that Schmeling was a bit more than head. He got some body shots in that time. Now Ruby Goldstein breaks them up. Schmeling fighting in close again, taps his left, and rips a right to the head. Clay, who has to stand and fight now, is very tall as he straightens up and delivers a left to the mouth, takes a left to the body. Clay crosses a right to the chin. It bothered Schmeling. Schmeling, however, comes back to hook lightly to the head and is backing off, and in that maneuver sends a light hook to the head. Schmeling gave up on the exchange. I got that feeling definitely. Clay apparently held all the cards of power. Schmeling is breathing heavily as the round begins to start downhill. Clay moves to the jab again, sends a left jab to the mouth, a left jab to the nose, one to the teeth as Schmeling, through battered eyes, blindly tries the right counter and misses. Clay rushes at him, ties him up, and although I haven't seen a new cut that is bleeding, Max does have scores of welts, lumps, bumps, and assorted negatives on his face. Clay's jab has ravaged him since the second round. Clay moves in to clutch Schmeling's right in midair, stopping the blow in Jack Johnson manner, and pounds a right to the head, misses a left to the face of Schmeling. Schmeling trying to keep his own meat chopper going, jabs furiously at Clay and misses. Clay has simply flown the coop. Clay, except for the flurries of hooks to the head, which have scored heavily for him, has practically made this a one-hand fight, the left jab. Schmeling, who has jabbed with him and missed every thrust this round, is not as good at it, of course. Schmeling catches Clay now with a good left hand, speedily hooks another right left to the head. Schmeling sends a right to the body, takes 2 left jabs on the mouth from Clay. Schmeling misses a right to the head, lands a light left at the bell.
Round 10 was all Clay's again, as the German now appears to have lost the handle. Clay sticking him almost at will, and Schmeling counter blows ineffective. Here's Guy.
Round 11, Cassius Clay now clearly superior to Max Schmeling, battering the old pro. We may see more of the same. At the center of the ring, Schmeling early returns to the jab. He exchanges jabs with Clay. Schmeling, a little more confident, starts a hook to Clay's head, but it doesn't get a half foot. Clay puts out that big paw, stops it in midair. Shades of Johnson, whom they say invented that. Some say he merely perfected it. Clay dances to the right, does a little time step, hands down now, waving his head in front of Schmeling, and Max is infuriated. He sets to try another left to the head. Clay again stops that and comes back to pound his own hook to the head, crosses a big right to the jaw. Max falls back a step. Clay hooks and crosses to the head, jabs Schmeling into the ropes, but again Schmeling fights back, throws a hard right to the body, another left to the body by Schmeling. Clay in absolute disdain, permitting the body punishing, I think, and methodically working over Max's face with hook and cross. Clay blocks a left at the body, jabs his big mitt again into Schmeling's face, and again, and finally misses a high hook into the head, and Clay falls to the clinch with Max Schmeling. A beautiful exchange, and I think Clay was permitting himself to get hit at the body just so he could get to Max's chin and maybe end it all right there. Schmeling's number one handicap is he rarely changes his style. with Clay beating him to the right, counter to the head and not suffering. Max had gone to the jab earlier. This gives him less than a standoff. Now in action again at the center of the ring. Clay sends a straight right to the head. Schmeling hooks his own counter and lands. Schmeling puts another good right to the head, but Clay sails right back. He jabs and jabs again and jabs at the nose, and when Schmeling bounces off the ropes, nails him with a good short right to the head. Schmeling fighting in close now, pummels the body, and they get tangled again across the ring. Another good flurry here in round 11. Ruby Goldstein speeds to the far side to break them up. Less than a minute left to go. Clay is good. He has the 1,000 abilities and the blinding speed to nullify some defections. He's also apparently durable. He has been knocked down, but here he is, faster than ever. Now at the break, Schmeling grips Clay's head solidly with the right hand, and Clay comes back to discourage Schmeling with a good hard right of his own. Schmeling now beats the body with the left hand, and needs very little distance throw. This, by the way, antidotes Clay's ability or need to stop his hands in a punching stage in midair. Back at ring center, Clay jabs a left to the face, bangs a good shot on Schmeling's head with the right hand, and Schmeling rips the head again with a right, and now steps back, and now Schmeling jabs several times successfully to Clay's face as they tie each other up again near this microphone. Referee Ruby Goldstein speeding to the scene at the bell.
Schmeling's face is badly battered. His seconds worked over him frantically between rounds. There just seems to be no way he can catch Clay. He's going to have to KO him to win. Here's Guy.
In that corner, they've been working on Max with drafts of ice and smelling salts. Max is tiring, though staging a game fight, he's still dangerous. Clay looks exceedingly fresh. They meet in the center of the ring. Schmeling fires the first shot. He hooks hard at Clay's body. Clay winces. He was surprised. Clay comes back, hooking left and right to the head of Schmeling. Schmeling again, punishing the body with an extremely hard hook. Clay has to go to close quarters. Clay misses an uppercut at the chin. He dances back from Schmeling. He jabs a left to Schmeling's face, another left, but takes a hook to the head. Clay dances away, jabs a left to the mouth. Schmeling counters a good right to the head, fires a left hook to the body. Clay jabs hard at the head, and Max acts like he's really being stabbed. Clay moves in to take advantage. He hooks left and right to the chin. Max, in pain, rams a right to the body and catches Clay moving off to another town. Schmeling follows, but slowly, digging a left to the body, and Clay doesn't like what's going on in the cellar, so he jabs a left to the chest, hooks a right to the chin. Clay stands still now with left leg astride or more in front of the right, and Max just doesn't like that play. Max moves to the side. Clay swings with him, hooks the nose, jabs the face of Max Schmeling, and Schmeling retaliates by driving a powerful left and right to the face. I don't know what Max was sniffing between rounds, but Doctor, order some of the same for me. Max Schmeling out there with tapering wrists, hooks the head with right and left. Clay sends two jabs to the mouth, dances backward. Here's a straight right to the head by Clay. Schmeling shakes off the clouding notion, takes a left jab and right cross, left jab and right cross to the mouth from Clay. Clay is jabbing Schmeling to death, and yet the German has very few bloody cuts, just trenches on his face an inch deep. He won't be shaving for a while, I assure you. And they move into a clinch. Ruby Goldstein has the first action he's had since this round began. He breaks them up in the center of the ring. Here's Schmeling trying two lefts to the head but missing as Clay heads for calmer waters. Schmeling on the break now goes to the body, beating for a while at Clay, and Clay again is prey to a good hook by Schmeling. Schmeling, however, is delivering about 30% less hitting than Cassius Clay, who I now believe has to be KO'd by Schmeling if he is to gain a victory tonight. I'm thinking Clay's jabs to the chest are extremely strong. Clay jabs the neck. Clay misses a left lead. He takes two jabs on the forehead. Clay hooks Schmeling's ear, and he goes back to dancing again. Schmeling and the clock seem to be running out here at Miami Convention Hall. The crowd's been in a continuous frenzy. Both men have worked to keep this bout at fever pitch, the best.
kept up his hit-and-run tactics in round 12, and although Max did land a few, it's still Clay all the way, as Max just can't find the range on the elusive alley, and here is Guy LeBeau.
Okay, and look at this. Cassius Clay comes out this round with his hands down at his side, dancing around Max Schmeling, taunting him and probably saying, "Look, Max, no hands." Schmeling said he would belt him if he ever did that. Schmeling tries a left and right at the head, but Clay is back a country mile and now rushes at him and ties him up, and everybody in the place is smiling except Max, I think. But the wonder of it all is that Schmeling is still in there. He's taken severe punishment but not been off his feet. So does this signify that Clay cannot punch with the power of a Lewis? It's hard to see what other reasoning can be brought to bear. Referee Ruby Goldstein takes them out to the center of the ring. Schmeling is trying to grab a beat on Clay. He leaps off, comes halfway across the opening to meet Clay. Clay is really surprised and now is actually laughing as he again dances out of range. And who knows what he's laughing about this time. Schmeling immediately into a clinch. Now Ruby Goldstein breaks them up again. Schmeling fires a left hook coming out of the clinch. He's catching Clay surprised a couple of times now. Clay dances to his left after taking the bow, changes direction, rips the head and mouth of Schmeling with two solid hooks. Schmeling retreats and goes back into his deep shell. Now from that crouch, he hooks a left to the head and a right cross to the mouth of Clay, but as Clay dances away, he knows he's been in a flurry. Max was punching hard that time. Clay sends a left jab to the head, and as if out of some neurosis, Clay now begins the steady tattooing. Here's Clay jabbing the face, jabbing the mouth, dancing away, jabbing the nose, jabbing the head, jabbing the eyes, Schmeling flicking his hands out as if swatting flies and bees. But Clay keeps up the incredible display. Here's a jab to the face, a jab to the mouth. Some of them are not landing, but most are. There's one to the ear, and the crowd is up in awe and frenzy as Clay puts on the finest left jabbing exhibition ever seen, I'm sure. Schmeling blindly staggering around and goes into a clinch as the crowd cheers either the fact that Max made the clinch or Clay's incredible display. Ruby Goldstein, in self-surprise, seems to be shaking his head as he goes to the corner to break them up. Clay immediately on his wheels again, jabs at the head again, and Max holds on, and inside delivers two light rights to the body. As they separate, Schmeling again pounds his hands to the head of Clay with a left. Clay gives ground a little bit, doesn't like it there, and comes back. Schmeling, breathing heavily, clears something from his forehead with the one hand and retires again into a deep crouch after missing a right. Clay dancing away, hands down, flicks a left at Schmeling, and Schmeling hooks twice to the head. Schmeling jams a straight right to the face of Clay. He's still dangerous, but Clay counters with his own right to the head. Clay blocks a jab, takes two in the face at the bell.
Max must believe there's more than one man throwing those punches. Clay's left hand was a blur at one point last round as he must have landed 10 jabs in 10 seconds. Here's Guy.
Schmeling still has a chance to beat the unconquerable and do the unthinkable as he did against Joe Louis. But his chance, of course, is dimming. Out at the center of the ring, Schmeling goes at once to the body, firing a good right to the midsection. Clay jabs his head back. Schmeling fires a left to the body. Clay jabs, dances off. Schmeling hooks a good left to the head. Clay hooks a right to the head a second later and dances away. Moves in, jabs a left to the head, blocks both of Max's hands in midair, and Schmeling staggers Clay with a left to the head and the right to the face, and Clay is thrown off stride. Schmeling again closes in, drives left and right to the head. Clay is being maneuvered on the ropes by Schmeling and again scores to the body, and Clay, with the crowd roaring, is being asked to come through a great barrage of fireworks. Schmeling is pushing himself to the limit in this. Schmeling has Clay on the ropes. He tagged him solidly with hooks to the head to bring him under the charge, but Clay is asking no quarter. We thought he was going into a clinch, but Clay is fighting back. He is fighting back. He has been stunned. Schmeling pummels the body, and he is beginning to tire, and it is he who wants the breather. They wrestle along the ropes. Schmeling is at the body with a free hand. Clay has arms around Schmeling's neck, pounding any open ground he can find, and now they do clinch. But Clay did fight himself back after solid, rip-roaring action. Referee Ruby Goldstein has them apart, and Schmeling looks like the Schmeling I remember in the Jack Sharkey fight, which showed him to be an excellent offensive force. At ring center again, Clay has lost some aplomb, but he shows the good conditioning and the stamina. He was rocked and socked to a fairly well. Here's Clay on the break, scoring with a solid right to the head. That hurts Max. It hurts Max, but apparently Max is in this fight to the very end. Clay beginning to jab again. Here's a left to the mouth. Schmeling counters at the body, not hard. Clay beginning to move again. Jabs twice to the head. Fires a 1-2 that lands, and Schmeling retaliates with a short right to the head. Clay blocks a straight shot to the head. That again hurts Max, and Max retreats a step. Clay dances to the party, and that left jab shoots out again. It stabs him 3 times around the eyes before Schmeling can reach him in and tie him up. Little remains in round 14. It's been one torrid round. Clay stops Schmeling's hands in midair as the German tries to hook the head. Now Clay stops Schmeling's hand directly at the body, and the crowd loves it. They clinch again across the ropes near this microphone. They should make the 15th round, but I imagine just barely. Both, however, getting stronger with the last leg in sight. Clay jabs a left to the mouth, takes a light right to the ribs, and then jabs his left hand virtually out of its socket. Here he is again at the bell.
Joe Jacobs worked desperately over Schmeling between rounds while Angelo Dundee grinning in Clay's corners. He's a big win in our computerized match just ahead. There's the bell, and here's Guy.
This is it. Cassius Clay and Muhammad Ali in the final stanza of a sizzling computerized fight. Schmeling and Clay advance slowly, touch gloves. Clay looks fresher. He was doused with water. Max, trying to avoid the bleeding, was ice-treated again in his corner. He got the whiff of something at the nose. Could be smelling salts or maybe something stronger. He has a little trouble breathing. They circle in the center of the ring. Clay hooks a good left to the head. Schmeling fires a left hook to the body. It's a hard shot, and it drives Clay immediately to the left and right into Max's range. Clay quickly alerts the guards, and out he goes with both hands, stopping Max's right in midair. Max draws back to release his hand. Only Clay happens to be stuck on it, and Clay pops the head with short hooks successfully. Max can't free himself, and it's Clay's inside advantage. Now the clinch, and of course now Ruby Goldstein speeding to Clay's corner where the huddle is. Clay, to me, has shown himself to be the complete fighter. There's nothing he cannot do well, the only qualification being he is fighting generally in a poor field. Out again at ring center, Clay jabs and dances away, jabs the head of the body. Clay is a flash of fireflies, moving so swiftly around Schmeling, I do believe that Max has awed himself and would stop to applaud if he could. Schmeling turning with him, covering up, but Clay's rapier left is finding spots with radar accuracy. Schmeling lands a right to the body. Clay jabs the head, jabs the neck, dances to his left. He is showboating, no doubt about that, but nobody cares. He's overstuffing his hand a little, though. Max follows with him, moving in and out, willing to mix. Schmeling nails Clay with a hard right to the head as Clay swept off to the side. Clay blocks another right, but Max is throwing fast. He has the right working at the face, and Clay, towering over Schmeling, is being brought down to size as Schmeling grips head and face with hard right and left. Clay, after all, had to come to earth for fueling. Max was waiting. Clay now hooks a good left to the face, takes a right on the mouth. Clay and Schmeling stabbing toe-to-toe. Clay punching downward at the head, Schmeling blasting upward, and every once in a while shifting to the body to get leverage. This is at the point of exhaustion for both men, and the crowd is going mad. This is Clay in the best fight he's ever fought, and the same goes for Max Schmeling. Clay giving ground a little bit. Now exchanges jabs with Schmeling. Clay puts 2 jabs to the mouth, 2 more jabs, but Schmeling now seems unconscious of the jabs raining in. He wants Clay for the hooks. Now he jabs and crosses to Clay's chin. No tie-up, no let-up. Clay takes a right to the body. They go in close. Clay pumps against Max's ear again. Schmeling hooks hard to the head. Seconds only remaining, and when this fight is over, you can bet the rafters here in Miami Convention Hall will ring. Clay is at the track again with a left jab to the mouth, a left jab to the face by Clay. Clay hooks the head with 2 hands, darts away from Schmeling's return. They exchange jabs again. Schmeling comes welling in, and Clay takes off with a jab to the head, a jab to the face. There's the bell. Both men have been very aggressive. They've shown ring expertise, but Clay threw thousands of punches more, and that may make the difference. How about it, Murray Warren?
Can Clay take a punch? You better believe he can. He took the best Schmeling had to offer, as the big German did get through to him, and coming off the canvas in round 7, he never again permitted himself to get in trouble. Schmeling just couldn't keep up with the speedier and more accurate Clay. And now Paul Berman's in the ring. Let's go up for the official announcement.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard the final result. Cassius Clay simply outboxes Max Schmeling and stays alive in this all-time heavyweight tournament. Now, we'll be back with an analysis of this fight in just a minute.
If ever any arena full of boxing fans saw a classic example of hit-and-run tactics, this one did tonight. About now, Max is probably wondering if anybody got that guy's license number.
Absolutely right. The fight pattern from the opening bell was Clay's obvious plan to stick and run, to simply throw all of the leather he could without being hit in return. And the one time he departed from that, Max Schmeling dropped him hard. Clay simply didn't give Schmeling another chance to nail him after that knockdown.
Okay, let's take a fast look at the round-by-round analysis. The first round was all even, with both men simply feeling each other out. Clay flashing around the ring, Max landing just one solid punch to the head. Clay took round two on sheer volume, landing an overwhelming number of times. Max simply couldn't catch him. Most of Clay's shots were light, but they sure did score points. And Max barely managed to graze Clay in the third, as the speed merchant didn't give him a single good chance. Clay took the round. Clay became a little overconfident in round four, and it cost him the round as Max slammed hooks to the head and body and landed that big right, jarring Clay to his heels. Clay was fully recovered in round five, and in the fifth and sixth simply ran circles around the man from Hamburg, while peppering him and landing solid licks of his own.
Then in the seventh round, it was darn near lights out for Clay. As he landed solidly, he thought he had Schmeling and walked into a whole set of bombs to the head that dropped him, and darn near put him away, too. Schmeling had him badly hurt, but Clay gamely survived the storm, and for the rest of the fight, it was just about Clay all the way, although Schmeling did land a few good shots after that. He spent most of the remaining 8 rounds wondering where all the leather was coming from, and so did I, and rarely finding anything solid to shoot at. Clay was at his elusive and masterful best, and let me tell you this, when you come back off the canvas after taking some of those solid Schmeling shots to the head, people had better start believing you can take a punch. And surely Clay took the best that Schmeling had, and came back to outpoint him the rest of the way. The official scoring from the NCR computer: 10 rounds for Cassius Clay, 2 rounds Schmeling, 3 rounds even. Now, we'll be right back with some comments and the story of next week's fight.
This is Murray Warner again with Guy LeBeau, ringside at the end of our mythical match between Max Schmeling and Cassius Clay. Won by Clay in a way one-sided decision. One of the interesting things I believe about this fight was the way Clay described how he might go against a guy like a Dempsey or a Schmeling or any of the old-timers.
Keeping my distance and dancing, circling to my left, my right, stick him in his body, back off of him, jab him to the head, back off of him.
So you see, the NCR computer said tonight that Clay would fight just the way he said he would. Hit and run, and make himself tough to hit. Take a shot or two, but just don't get hit, because if they can't hit you, they simply can't hurt you.
Sure, but based on that, Murray Warner, Jesse Owens would have made a great fighter, too, since in his time, nobody could catch him either.
Next week, we begin our quarterfinals with Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler, meeting John L. Sullivan. Oh, what a way that is to start the quarterfinals. Just to review our first round quickly.
Okay, our first round was, as you've said, sensational, Murray, with the opening fight going to Jack Dempsey and a blistering KO of Jim Carter. And, of course, he meets John L. Sullivan next Monday night, and Dempsey has always been at his best against the dreadnought type of fighter. Sullivan, having won the second fight in the tournament by outpointing Jimmy Braddock, is our opponent. Then, in our third fight, Joe Louis, the great brown bomber, KO'd the Potawatomi Giant in the 15th round after a terrible beating he administered. And Joe meets the winner of our fourth tournament match, Ruby Bob Fitzsimmons, 2 weeks from tonight. Bob outpointed Jack Sharkey, you recall, to continue on in this tournament.
Max Baer pulled the upset of the tournament in our fifth fight when he outpointed the great Jack Johnson simply by throwing leather and preventing the big man from Galveston from getting set well enough to fight back. And he meets the man who won the fight I believe to be the most exciting I ever saw or heard, and that was the great battle between Rocky Marciano and Gene Tunney. And Rocky's great performance that night will bring him into contention with Baer in this ring 3 weeks from tonight. And that ought to be a war. Last week, of course, Jim Jeffries took the measure of Jersey Joe Walcott, earning a shot by KOing the man from Camden in the 10th round, which puts Jeffries in the ring with Cassius Clay to wrap up the quarterfinals on November 27th.
And one thing sure, we've got a lot of action ahead of us. We'll be back in just a moment with more on next week's quarterfinal match between the great Jack Dempsey and John L. Sullivan.
Back at Miami Convention Hall, where Cassius Clay tonight eliminated Max Schmeling by an overwhelming decision, taking 10 rounds, with 2 rounds scoring for Schmeling and 3 rounds scoring even. In next week's first quarterfinal round fight, Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler, meets John L. Sullivan for the right to go into the tournament semifinals against the Joe Louis Bob Fitzsimmons winner. Well, here's what Jim Braddock had to say about Dempsey.
Jack Dempsey was another fella could take you out with a punch with a left hook or a right hand. And there was a lot of good counter punches who could do it.
Now with the deadline for entering our all-time heavyweight tournament contest rapidly approaching, let's remind all our fans what they can win and how they go about it. November 5th, next Sunday at midnight, is the deadline. That's the closing date in our all-time heavyweight tournament contest. Midnight, next Sunday night, November 5th. You can submit as many entries as you like, make changes if you've been wrong before. All you need do is pick the winners of all 15 fights and tell us how they'll win those fights. Pick up an official entry blank at most sponsors and other places designated by your local station. Follow the rules. You may be the big winner of our 26-foot Seabird sedan cruiser worth $12,000 from Seabird Industries of Hialeah, Florida. A week's accommodations for 2 at the Algiers Hotel in Miami Beach. One of our beautiful gold all-time heavyweight tournament rings, made for us by Regal Crest Jewelry of Miami, or the new Johnson Diving Buoy. Earliest postmark counts, and in the event of ties, a runoff contest will be held. Contest void where prohibited by law. Deadline, midnight, next Sunday night.
You know, Murray, Dempsey may have been the most idolized fighter of all time. He certainly was an idol to many of the people listening tonight. And Rocky Marciano felt that way about him, too. In fact, he told us this little gymnasium gem about Dempsey.
Incidentally, I met Jack Dempsey about 1949. One day when he was in the gymnasium watching me work out, I looked anything but a heavyweight. I weighed about 182 pounds at that time. And Dempsey says, well, my boy is pretty experienced now. He can punch, and I don't want to get anybody hurt. And so we agreed that maybe we'd go 1 or 2 rounds to see what happened. I was thrilled that Jack Dempsey looked at me for the first time as a heavyweight, and I guess I was still stunned when the bell rang for the first round and took a few good wallops from his boy. It wasn't until the bell rang and I went back to my corner that my trainer Goldman said, now get on out there and do something. Don't let this fellow make a monkey out of you. Jack Dempsey's watching, and don't, embarrass me. And in the second round, I came out, and I guess I started throwing everything I had. I hit this boy pretty hard, hit him over the eye, cut his eye. He stopped, put his gloves up to his eye, and as he done this, Jack Dempsey turned right around and walked right out of the gymnasium.
That's a great story, Guy. The way a young prospect feels when he knows a great champion is watching him. And we'll be back in a minute. And now that's just about it from Miami Convention Hall, where Clay defeated Schmeling tonight by decisively outpointing him, winning a step up to the quarterfinals. Remember, next week, same time, same station, Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler, goes against John L. Sullivan. Until then, this is Murray Warner
and Guy LeBeau saying good night. We'll be expecting you next week.